say you had literally like the best funnel in the world, it was converting at 10%, which is pretty unheard of. That's still 90% of people coming out the other end who've shown interest in what it is that you do and haven't bought. What do you do with them? So you have to keep doing things live. You do have to keep launching. You can't stop altogether, but what you have to do is you have to change how you're doing it. And that is the concept of evergreen launches. Hello, everybody. It is Kate here from HelloFunnels.co and welcome back to the Doing It Online podcast. Today, we're going to talk about my least favorite thing, and that is launching, and how there might be a new kid on the block, a new way of launching that is less stressful, potentially more profitable, and just sucks a whole lot less. And that is what we're going to talk about inside today's episode. So let's dive right on in. Okay, guys, let's be real. Launching has always sucked, but in 2024, it sucks just that little bit more. So in previous years, launching has traditionally been very time consuming, hugely energy draining, fairly unpredictable. Even if you have a launch that is like dialed in and you've run multiple times and has worked, the last 10 times to nth percent conversion rates, there is still the chance, because it's something that is being done live, that there are live things that might come in and impact it. Like you might get sick, your internet might disappear halfway through, your pitch. There might be some world event that happens that all of a sudden you realize, maybe now's not the time to be going out and doing this live, or something that might come in that all of a sudden might make it feel really irrelevant what it is you're talking about. Like these things can happen, and we've seen them happen with increasing frequency over the last few years. And above all of that, my problem with live launching is that because it is so all-consuming, because just say you were doing the very standard, like something every quarter, like quarterly challenge or whatever, and that was your marketing plan, and you were doing that every month and every quarter, and that was working pretty well for you, and that was how you gain most of your revenue. Like on the surface, that sounds great, right? But for most people in this business, most people with online courses and online programs, selling them through online launches, most of us don't have a huge team. So if you're doing this thing, which seems to every time you do it needs another layer and gets more and more complicated, right? You end up actually spending so much of your time, like a majority of your time, either planning, prepping, running, or recovering from an online launch, that you have very little time for anything else. And so what time you do have, you probably then use to actually serve your clients, which is great. But what you don't then have time for is actually, growing your business, actually putting systems in place and doing the stuff you need to scale. And this is where I've seen so many people just get stuck on this loop of where you have a launch, it's great, you recover from that launch, and then you're straight back into prepping for launch mode, and round and round and round you go. And it's very hard to get off that loop, because this is the only way you make money, right? And you don't have time to put anything else in place, because this one thing is demanding that you feed it over and over again. And particularly over the last, 12 to 18 months, as people have found their launches go down, the work hasn't gone down. You're still spending whatever percentage it is of your time, and probably more now, to try and figure out how to fix it. But the reward is getting less, and you're now that circle has now turned into a spiral, and that's not great. Now, I just want to put a caveat on here that this isn't the case for everybody. There are many, many people out there who launches just work for, and they love it. They've kind of managed to kind of hit that little apex of they've got a big enough audience, they've got a big enough team, their offer is enough of a hell's yes, they're not in an oversaturated market, they probably are a bit extroverted themselves, so they just love it. And if you are ticking all of those boxes, then great, go ahead, keep launching. Please, there's no reason to stop doing something that's working just because I've said it doesn't work for a lot of other people. But for those of you listening who are like, well, that's not me. I might have one or two of those things, but I'm definitely not finding that my launches are something that it's adding to my business. It's now kind of feeling like they're taking away. And I don't really know how else I'm going to make revenue. Then this podcast episode is 100% for you. So I want to jump in before we start talking about like the new way of launching and just answer the question that I'm sure you're asking, which is, well, can't I just stop launching? Can't I just set up a funnel? Like, you like funnels, Kate. Can't I just do that? Sadly, my answer for you is no. The reason for that is that majority of people who go through funnels, and that is funnels the way that we teach them, which is a mostly automated customer journey. Usually those are triggered by people doing something that a new subscriber does. So they find out about you, they see you've got some great freebie, they then go into your sequence, your warm-up sequence, all of that, depending on, how long that is. If you're with us, probably quite long. So for most people going through those funnels, usually they are new subscribers. They're going to come out the end of them. Even the best funnel in the world, like say you had literally like the best funnel in the world, it was converting at 10%, which is pretty unheard of. That's still 90% of people coming out the other end who've shown interest in what it is that you do and haven't bought. What do you do with them? So you have to keep doing things live. You do have to keep launching. You can't stop altogether. But what you have to do is you have to change how you're doing it. You have to really switch that emphasis from the live thing being so big and so all-consuming and having to then perform at such a high level to what we're going to talk about today. And that is the concept of Evergreen launches. And this is part actually of the ecosystem that we teach inside our eCourse Empire program. So any of our Empirees listening in, you guys are all across this. I suggest you go, if you haven't already, dive into the Evergreen campaign vault, start planning out your next 6 to 12 months of Evergreen launches, and then sit back, have a cup of tea and relax. But for anyone not, then you might want to grab a pen and paper because I'm going to share something with you that is going to really change your business. Okay, you ready? Great. Let me introduce you to one of my new favorite things. Well, not my new favorite, just one of my favorite things, and that is Evergreen launching. So as someone who's never really loved launching, I remember I sort of said it like as just out of frustration one day. I was like, why can't launches feel as reliable and as stress-free as funnels? Like, why do they have to be the opposite? And then I stopped and I thought about it and said, maybe they don't. Maybe we've just been copying this model that is, yes, designed to work for some people, but doesn't really work for most. And maybe there is a different way of doing it. And that is where Evergreen launches were sort of born. And then after a lot of trying, testing, figuring out the types of campaigns that are best suited for this style of launching, that is when we obviously brought it into our program and we've started helping people to make the switch, because it's not a matter of just turning it off. Unfortunately, it is usually a bit of a step-by-step process. We actually had a recent episode called Do You Need Launch Rehab, which go check it out. We talk about this a little bit more in there. So Evergreen launches, what are they? Basically, they are the opposite of the big all singing, all dancing, all consuming quarterly launch. So rather than being something that is huge, hugely time consuming, hugely stressful, and done only a couple of times or a handful of times per year, we are switching all of those things around. So these are something that is smaller, that is more frequent, that takes a fraction of the time to create. The campaigns that we teach, they are designed to be able to be reused, repeated, and partially automated as well. So after you run one once, it's probably like 80% ready to go next time you want to use it. And the other thing about them, because it's something we have to obviously understand about, we're not wanting to annoy our list by launching to them constantly, is because they are smaller, is you actually also have the chance to start playing with having different offers for different segments. So having, some of your Evergreen launches might just be a launch that's shown to people who've shown interest in the last 30 days, doesn't go out to everybody, or to people who've purchased another offer and it's something that's introducing them to something else. So it allows you to be a little bit more granular, a little bit more strategic, but because you are doing it that way, you don't need the marketing muscle and those big techniques that require so much time to create, because what you're trying to do is convert everybody. Instead, it allows you to get smaller and more focused. So not all of the Evergreen launches are like that. They're not all segmented. They're not all upgrade launches. That's just one type of campaign. We've got about, I think it's 8 campaign types inside our Evergreen Launch Vault that people can, pick and choose depending on the type of offers they have, what works for them, what makes sense for them. And for a lot of our clients, they still want to do something live here and there, but you get to, again, change the emphasis. That live thing that you're doing, and this is personally how I like to do it, it becomes less about, okay, I've got to do this and tick all of these boxes to be able to convert at a certain rate, because you know that you are now having little conversion events more frequently. And those conversion events, added up generally equal more than having one big conversion event very infrequently, because you have those going, and that it's kind of adding to this sense of reliability and consistency. Then when you show up live, when you go, hey, I want to do something just to connect with my audience, or just to share this thing I'm really excited about, or just to engage and give people a chance to see what it's like to actually interact with you or work with you closer, then that becomes the goal of that thing, versus I know I've got to say this exact thing at this time to be able to convert this number of people. Because they're going to convert, because they are converting in the back end. And if you pair this with our email engine that's also running in the back end, and then our social sales system, which is also running on autopilot, then all of a sudden, this is how you start stacking. This is how you start going, every day I'm getting some sales from here, every week I'm getting some sales from there, and every month now, because of your Evergreen launches, you're going to get X number of sales over here. And our goal is always, with the campaigns, the ways that we teach them, it's always that it should take you, 5-ish hours a month to set these up. That, and often it's stuff that you said you can reuse it, or you can bring team in to help you out with it. If you've got a VA, they can usually do most of that heavy lifting for you. And that is how it should feel. Knowing you've got this consistency, knowing that if something happens one month and it doesn't go to plan, guess what? Next month you can make it up. It's not like you have to wait another 30 days, 90 days, 120 days to get any more income. You've got more income coming in. And the other thing I love about this style of launching is it also lets you play. It lets you test. It lets you try things out without that big, this must work better than anything I've ever done before pressure. It lets you go, well, what if we did it this way this time? What if we mixed up the bonuses, changed up the price, delivered it slightly differently? It just allows you to do so much more testing, get so much more data. And then, if you start to stack those wins and those learnings, you can only grow and improve. And with all the extra space that you have and the brain space, you're going to be feeling so much more creative. It's really just win, 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 win. So that is Evergreen launching, guys. It's a switch. It's changing your emphasis. Like I said, you don't need to jump off the unreliable revenue roller coaster straight into this. There's a couple of steps down, and we really help to guide people through that, because we never want anyone's income to ever be impacted. We're all about replace the old income with the new before you remove the old, and then grow from there. That's how we've always done things, but that is what you do with Evergreen launching. So deep breath. Imagine how different that could feel. Imagine what your calendar would look like if you had 5 hours a month spent setting up your promotions for the month, and you knew that every month you were going to get X number of sales from that 5 hours. And you can really show up and be a very different business owner. So I hope this has been useful, guys. As I said, if you want help with this, if you're ready to make that switch, to step off that roller coaster, then come and check out eCourse Empire. That is what we do. We would love to help you. If you found this useful, please help us to spread the word. Give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, leave a review, share it with friends, whichever way you feel called. It all adds up, and it's all really important to small businesses, and we'll be forever grateful if you can do one, multiple, or any or all of those things. So thank you so much for lending me your ears these last 15 minutes. I said I hope it's been useful, and I will see you all again, same time, same place next week. Bye.